What's going on, trader? And welcome back to my YouTube channel and another midweek recap. It's your boy here, the Forex Amateur, and as you know, on this video, we like to basically, or the goal for this video, should I say, is to basically look back at what's happened so far for the week based on what my forecasting was at the beginning of the week. What have we picked up so far, and what is the goal going forward? What is the forecast going forward? What is the approach going forward? So before I get into the video, remember, let me throw in my little disclaimer. I'm not licensed nor qualified to offer financial, investment, or trading advice. Everything I speak about on these videos is my own opinion, right? I do not recommend any specific trade or action. So if you do choose to risk live funds, do it with cash that you are willing to lose, because you could lose your entire investment. Now, let's talk about the dollar index on the weekly chart. We did look at a very strong week on the dollar index last week, right? And focusing on the fact that the range of this candle is so large, I did say that we would expect a pullback this week, right? So earlier in the week, we would expect a pullback. As we can see, that is actually playing out really well. So let's just go down to the daily chart and let's start from there. Now, I did highlight the zone, and I did mention that I would expect price to react from this zone and give me some downside of that zone from there, right? Now, I am still pretty much quite bullish on here. I will expect price to come back into around this area here, right, into around this area here, and then I'll be looking to see price perhaps make its way back up into this level, right? um, from there I'll also then be looking for more downside on there, but for now, simply looking at for the remainder of this week, I would be looking to see price come back into around here, and then I'd be looking to see something back to the upside. Due to the fact that we have such a strong structure break, I do expect price would most likely do something like that and then go to the upside, right? So dropping down to the 4 hour chart, we did also look at the 4 hour, and we did mention the fact that this was the last structure point that created that high, right? So what I would expect, the fact that we're at a key level on the daily chart, I would have expected price to break below this low. I did mention once this low has been broken, we should then expect a pullback, right? And then expect price to continue perhaps a bit lower into around this area before it continues higher, right? But for now, going forward, we do have this strong structure break to the downside here, and we are seeing now prices sort of making its way down, but I would actually expect it to come a bit higher into these areas, perhaps into this level here or back into this high, and then I would be looking for it to perhaps make its way back down into around this area here, where we have this last level of demand basically. So looking at that, let's move over to the Euro USD on the weekly chart. We did speak about Euro USD last week, and we had a strong bearish push to the downside, which we were really expecting coming off this key area here that I spoke about on the previous videos. If you did miss that, go and check them out, and you'll see that you'll basically be able to follow the story of what we're doing in terms of the setup on a consistent basis, right? Because this is a story that we're following on a weekly basis, and that is why it's so much easier to sort of predict the moves and how they're going to happen and so forth, right? Now, looking at this on the weekly, I did speak about the fact that this range was so large, we should expect some upside in this week, right? As we can see, that did actually play out very well. So let's just go down to the daily. On the daily chart, I did mention this zone here, and I did mention that I would expect price to come back into around this level and perhaps give us another push to the downside from there. As you can see, price is making its way back up into this area. So what we would be looking for is something in and around this area here to see if we can get any confirmations to the downside from around there, and we'd look to target around this area here on the weekly low basically. Moving on to the 4 hour time frame, on the 4 hour as well, I did speak about the structure point here, that price would most likely make its way back up in above the structure point into around this area here, maybe slightly higher, and then continue to the downside. As we can see, this is more of a consolidated pullback type of thing, or contracted pullback type of thing. So this is most likely like some sort of a pattern if you trade patterns, and then look for something to the downside from there. That is more or less what I would be looking for. Now, moving on to the synthetic indices market, Let's talk about volatility 75 on the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, I did mention that I'd be looking for more or less more downside on the weekly, coming back into this 71465 area. Looking at the daily time frame, we did highlight a few structure points on here. But however, what I am currently looking at the moment is I was looking at this as a structure point, and I was expecting price to sort of break above it and come back below it. As you can see, that has sort of played out very well. Now, what I'm expecting is sorry about that. So what I am expecting is this level here, which is basically a level of supply. I am expecting to see price make its way perhaps back into this area here, and then we'll see more continuation to the downside. At the moment, we do see that it's more of a rangy market at the moment for the past, say about 4 days. It's more of a rangy market. So we'll look for a false break to the upside, and then price most likely continuing back to the downside from that point. Not really much more we can speak about on a lower time frame. Yeah, not really much more we can speak about on the lower time frame. So let's just leave it at that. Currently, I'm not really focused on trading volatility 75 because I feel like it's very manipulated at the moment. So I'm not really that focused on it, right? Looking at the weekly time frame on volatility 100, we are in this weekly bullish range. Hence, we're seeing a lot of bullish battle in terms of just price wanting to push higher. Now, I did speak about the fact that we could see price coming back into this area here. And based on last week's close, which was very indecisive, I had a little think about it. And I did think that price might come back and want to fill these wicks, right? So there's a lot of wicks to the upside. So we might see something coming back up into there. Looking at the daily time frame, we can see very clearly that we formed this level after breaking market structure to the downside, but we cannot forget the fact that we've broken this major level here, as well as this minor structure in here, right? So that's two levels of structure, one major, one minor, that has been broken by this bullish push to the upside. So I would be expecting price to sort of want to come back down, if it wants to come back down into around there, but sort of respecting these areas here. So this range would more likely be the range that we would work with as a bullish range. So looking at the daily time frame, we can see we created that low, that high, and then we failed to create a lower low after creating a lower high here. So should we get a structure break in here, we might be going bullish from that matter. But what I would actually expect is I would actually expect price to sort of make its way into come and fill up this week and maybe break above it a little bit, but overall still going down into this area here. So moving on from there to the 4 hour, not really much I can speak about on the 4 hour. Let's move on to volatility 10. On the weekly time frame, we did speak about the fact that we would be seeing some bullishness on volatility 100 this week. We have seen a pretty strong reaction already, but let's see what we got on the lower time frame. So going down to the daily time frame, we can see that we did get some sort of bullish interaction here a little bit in these two candles previous to yesterday. Sorry, prior to today, so yesterday and the day before, and I was able to capitalize on a few buys, right? On the lower time frames, I was able to capitalize on a few buys. So looking at this now, we've got this break of structure. I did mention that I'm not expecting to see price break above this zone here and clear it and continue, right? So looking at this right now, based on how price is breaking up, if it does break below here, then I will expect it to come down into here, right? But I am more or less expecting this level to be respected, and I'm expecting to see price make its way back up into around that area before it continues lower or higher, right? Remember, we're forecasting for the next 2 days only. So looking at the H4 time frame, we did have this zone here that I was basically focusing on price coming back into. I had highlighted this level here, and I did mention that we would expect price to come back below this level and then look for something back to the upside. First targets I am targeting is back up in here. So I have got a very strong reaction already off my level. I'm just looking for a lower time frame confirmation, and then I'm looking to go long with the target at that area in there. But my overall target will be back up into this purple zone in here, right? So that's quite a nice entry as well, because if you look at it, the entry will be more or less around here, and the target is here with a very small ass stop loss or something tiny in there, right? So looking at that, I'm currently on the lower time frames, and I'm just simply looking at structure, right? So on the 30-minute time frame, I haven't gotten any structure yet. my thoughts would be that we'd form a lower high around here and come back down into this range. And let's just see if that happens. If that does happen, then I will be very interested in taking a long to the upside. So that's something to really look out for. And perhaps take that trade on your demo accounts and look at how it plays out. Follow the structure, follow how the trade plays out, try and work out your trade management and so forth, right? But until next time, I hope you have been able to learn quite a bit from this, and I hope it has been an educational video. It has been a pleasure, as always, to share with you guys, and I am wishing you a blessed and profitable remainder of the week.